Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I would like to thank your management committee. It gives me immense pleasure to be here today because you are belonging to the profession which I belong to. Nothing gives me more happiness than to be with my own loved ones, and that is all of you. Thank you very much for getting me here. I would like to tell you that many hundreds and thousands of years ago, the main work in India used to be agriculture. You must have heard from your fathers, mothers, grandparents, etc., that usually people used to be staying in farmhouses. They were working on the village farms. They were producing something, either wheat, maize, vegetables, etc. So we were in agriculture economy. Then came the manufacturing or the industrial age, many hundreds of years ago, in which we started making clothes, shoes, cars, ball bearings, scooters, etc. So the manufacturing came into being, and from agriculture there was a little bit of shift towards industrialization or manufacturing. But in today's age, the services sector is right on top. And in India, whether it is the IT sector, the courier sector, the transportation sector, the hospitality sector, so the services sector is on top. And then comes in the services sector a part of our healthcare sector, which is really on top. And in the healthcare sector, I would like to tell you this is a very fast growing sector in which we have recorded nearly 15% growth every year in India, which is probably one of the highest sectors. And in the health sector, the diagnostics or pathology sectors is the fastest growing at 20%. So all of you belong to an elite industry or an elite service class, which is right on top. So you should have a lot of self-confidence, happiness, a feeling of achievement, that you are indeed a part of the best ruling class in India in the service sector. So once again, I want you to be congratulations. Thank you. It is a very well-known fact that now the healthcare industry consists of top professionals who can be either doctors or they can be helpers, or that is paramedical staff. And the healthcare industry, you would be, pleasantly surprised to hear, is one of the highest employable agencies in India, in which nearly 5 million or nearly 50 lakh people are working in. So, you are a part, and you will be a bigger part tomorrow, of this main workforce of India, which is the healthcare industry. In the healthcare sector, again we have further subdivisions of very highly qualified doctors, whether they are neurosurgeons, neurophysicians or neurologists as we call them, cardiologists, cardiac surgeons, gastroenterologists, gynecologists, skin specialists, ophthalmologists, ENT specialists, orthopedic surgeons, and many more. But you would be pleasantly surprised to hear that 70% of the decisions or clinical decisions or treatment decisions are based on laboratory tests. So heartiest congratulations to you all once again. In other words, 7 decisions out of 10 decisions are based on lab tests, whether to admit a patient, whether to send him home, whether to keep him in the hospital, whether to keep him admitted in an ICU or a CCU, whether to take this patient out of the ICU, whether to prepare a patient for surgery, etc., are all dependent upon lab tests or diagnostic tests. So here comes the catch. We are probably the most important people who are not seen, but they are always working in the background, without which the medical services will literally collapse. So therefore it is imperative, it is the most important duty of yours to be good in this profession. In our profession, we cannot say that we are almost correct most of the times. You have to be correct all the time. Because if you are correct only in most of the times, that 1 or 2% cases may be your own father, may be somebody whom you know, may be a very, very poor patient, etc. But a human life is a human life. And mind you, when you have to be correct, this kind of a concept, I want you to inculcate in your minds right from now onwards, which I call a total quality management or TQM. In TQM, it is understood that you will get the test right the first time and that you will get the test right every time. So with this kind of a confidence, I want you to approach your work that you have to be very, very quality-minded person. If you are not quality-minded or you don't care what the tests are going to be reported as, you kindly choose another profession. There's no harm. But the very fact that you have chosen a paramedical line or a paraclinical line or a DMLT or whatever it is, means that you are bothered about your patient's health, and till you are there, till you are on the site, till you are working there, you have to be very, very, very quality conscious. So you all have to promise to me that under your leadership or wherever you are working, quality will always come first. Can I have a promise from all of you? Thank you very much.
Good evening and happy Diwali to all of you and your families. This is a very interesting moment for all of you. The problem today that we have in our country, as we know, especially the health sector, and I'm told that 2,000 students of you are for paramedical services, that we have to double our healthcare sector in the next 10 years, otherwise we will be extremely deprived of healthcare for our country's citizens. So there are many encouraging signs. So we have been fighting for the last several years for better allocation of the union government's budget for health, which was less than 1%, which was one of the lowest in the world. But the 12th plan, which has just now come out after 3 years of battering and negotiating, the government has accepted the fact that in these 5 years, in the next 12-year plan, we will get 3 times, that means we will go up to 3% towards the end of the term. So that means that the government is committed, the private sector has always been committed, and as today 80% of medical services are provided by the private sector, hopefully the government will also pick up huge facilities so that we now have a great opportunity for all of you to participate in the future of India. To that effect, we did some calculation that we formed, the government in its wisdom formed the National Skill Development Council, and under that came the National Skill Development Corporation, And the government has given large grants to National Skill Development Corporation, under which we have formed the Health Sector Council. Now, in the Health Sector Council, we have estimated that India will need at least 4.5 to 5 million professionals in the healthcare field, out of which at least half or even more than half will be in the paramedical fields. So you can imagine the opportunity that is present for you, provided you do two things. One, take the level of our services to a higher level. Before you got professional training, technicians, paramedical personnel had no opportunity to actually learn their profession. We used to get them into the hospital, start training them, and that was the process. Like a cleaner of a bus becomes a conductor, and the conductor then becomes a driver, but never having been professionally accomplished in doing the jobs that they were supposed to do. So I must compliment Dr. Gupta and the associates that they have set up a university of this variety, where before you enter the professional workforce, you will be able to, with pride, say that I know the background, I know the technology, I know the science behind it, and naturally you'll be able to take it to the next step and the next step and the next step. Even more exciting things that I want to share with you is the fact that we are now very actively involved in what we call skill shifting and removing the glass ceiling on over all the skills. So it does not mean if a person enters as a technician that they will remain technicians for their life. Does not mean if a nurse enters a profession as a nurse that their only opportunity is the nurse for life. There are huge amount of demands in different parts of a healthcare delivery system, where people who have the initiative, people who excel, people who have the entrepreneurial spirit to go and upscale their skills and participate at a higher level. I'll give you an example that today many hospitals are being run in the United States by nurses, by people who are technical staff, people who are paramedical personnel, and they have risen to the highest level. So today we need to look at the future of India, which of course, when I look at you, I feel good about it, that there is such human resource coming up to fill the gap that will happen. And more importantly, you must understand that there will be, by 2020, there will be a shortage of people to fill the jobs in the world by 43 million. So not only do you have opportunity here, you have an opportunity all over the world. And if the present trend continues, then India will be the largest supplier of human capital in the technical, skilled, professional categories to the whole world. So the future looks bright. I know you open the paper in the morning and you get disgusted like I do with the happenings of today. But I'm sure this whole system will go through a churning, and all this old corruption and scams and all that, we will discard them, because the awakening has happened. That by itself will make people more and more accountable. The only thing we have to do is the deterrent of it should be speeded up, so that if somebody commits a crime or a theft or any sort of fraud, it should not take 20 years to put them in jail, and so that people have the comfort that maybe I will not get caught, maybe if I get caught it's going to take a long time. So Shanti Bhushanji, that's for you, that the justice system must come up to speed, that when there is concrete proof that things have been caught red-handed, it should not take so long for us to punish them, because unless we make examples of people who have done wrong things, we will never be able to bring about ethical standards in our country like we should. So I will leave you with one thought, that in one way or the other, you will be participating in touching human lives when they are sick. When they are sick, they are at a disadvantage. So we as healthcare professionals must have the total empathy and sympathy for them, and never believe that they are being unreasonable, because what I hear again and again, oh, so-and-so was being unreasonable, so I yelled at them or I was rude. We don't have any right. If we have committed ourselves to the healthcare profession and taking care of the sick, we must always remember they are the ones who are sick, not us. And if they are demanding, it is their need that is making them demand, and we must cater to it. So good luck to all of you. I am privileged that I had the opportunity to speak to you, and good luck. Jai Hind.